Hi, everyone. So I'm Rashi. I'm from SAP. We also have Vasif here from SAP. And we just announced our partnership with Azure around this product that we're bringing on for Azure. It's a data protection solution. So I don't know how many of you have heard about the announcement about data custodian at Corey's keynote. Okay. So that's what I'm here to talk about, as well as show you a preview of the demo and the functionalities that are coming. So before I go forward, I just wanted to give a disclaimer because this is an early preview. Some of the functionalities are future facing. So, I think I'm supposed to say that and wanted to make sure everybody is aware of that. So really, we understand that data is really important for everybody here. Anybody who's here understands the importance of data everywhere, and how I think the question becomes, how do we protect it? Um, and so, when you are placing your data on, how many of you have actually are on Azure and are running SAP on Azure? Okay. Okay, great. So there is a shared responsibility model concept that Azure promotes, which essentially means that Azure is extremely secure, except that when you're placing your data on a public cloud, you still have responsibility for your own data and making sure that it is well protected. And we understand that responsibility. We understand the concept of segregation of duties, which essentially means that, for example, if you were placing, a lot of money, very high sensitive things in a bank, somewhere in a Swiss bank, probably most likely when you were going to open up that lock, you probably not only need your key, but the banker also has a separate key, right? So that concept of segregation of duties, where not only are you being protected by just one person, but two entities is very important. And we understand that concept, and that comes across for your own data when you're trying to put it on public cloud as well. Um, and then we have also this concept of trust with verification, which is a concept where you're trusting an entity, but it's always good to have an extra level of verification, which is where we've brought together SAP Data Custodian on Azure. So as you're moving your data on public cloud, you can have end-to-end visibility of your data on public cloud. And which is where SAP Data Custodian comes in, and I will show a demo right now, but before I do, I wanted to just highlight the two key feature sets that we're providing with Data Custodian. They're around data transparency as well as data control. So with data transparency, you'll be able to monitor and report your data around access, storage, movement, and processing. As it sits on public clouds, as it sits on Azure. With control, we're actually going to be able to, so we have a very robust policy engine that I will show, and we will map to those policies, and with data control, you'll actually be able to enforce policies. So we actually have the prevention or the blocking mechanism, which we understand a lot of customers want when they think about data protection. So now I'm going to do a demo, if I can figure out. How do I? Okay. All right. So this is the data custodian portal. So let's assume that you're a company called Akron Heating. Vasif, I think you're blocking. So let's assume you're a country, Akron Heating, and you have just moved some of your data to Azure, and you have also bought Data Custodian, and you've plugged in Data Custodian into your portal in Azure. You will be able to start with this dashboard, and you'll be able to see a lot of different things on this homepage, which are around compliance, around alerts, around how the risk overview is. So we have this concept of union where you're able to decide where you want your data to be on public cloud and your geolocation area. And based on that, we actually map, and we're able to show compliance, alerts, risk overview, how your inventory is. So let me just start with the My Cloud page. So once you plug into Data Custodian, not liking the resolution here. Yeah. Zoom. Okay. All right. Okay, so once we plug into your data on Azure with Data Custodian, the first view you see under My Cloud is how your data is being accessed across the globe. And that's a very interesting view because you're able to see that from certain locations there's a thicker line coming. That means there's a lot of access happening to your data. And you're also able to see data placement on public clouds. So right away, you've plugged into data custodian with your subscription on Azure, and you're able to actually get a view of your resources on public cloud on Azure. This is very relevant for a data privacy officer, a legal compliance officer, because based on understanding where your data now sits on public cloud, where it's being accessed from your own employees, you're able to create policies. So one statistics I wanted to sort of throw out there is that I don't know if you're aware that about 48% of sort of breaches that are happening are because of your own employees' negligence or a rogue insider. So being able to really understand and really have some policies around what your own employees are doing with your data on public cloud becomes very relevant. So here I would start with, so before I do that, I also want to show you with our inventory management page. Is this? Yeah, so you're able to see what all your resources are on public cloud. So you're able to see your SAP resources and applications. You're able to see your virtual machines. You're at infrastructure level disks as well. So you're able to get a comprehensive view of what your data looks like on Azure. Then you can go and actually create a policy with union management, and we also will provide some pre-populated policies that we see a lot of our customers using often. So you can go in here and create, for example, let's assume that you have, the action that you can do is allow, warn, or deny. So let's assume that this is a policy around allowing your access. So again, with different operations, you can do a policy for access, placement, movement, or data leak prevention. For this particular case, we have an access policy. And who the access is happening from. So the access can be your own employees, it can be Azure, or you can be more granular as well, where you can actually put in an email address or user groups in your own company to be able to say, hey, this is where I want, those are the people I want to allow accessing a certain application or a certain resource on public cloud. So I'll just go back for this demo purpose to all. Then you're able to see, you're able to pick which resource are we talking around access. So here we have the application of S/4HANA and which location. So Akron Heating is located out of Argentina, Canada, Germany, France, and Netherlands. So that the S/4HANA is deployed on the Canada Central Data Center in Azure. So it makes sense, right, that you have 5 places where you have your employees. You would not expect access of your data to be coming from outside of those regions, which is why we have created an access policy of those 5 regions. And that means that if somebody is trying to access data from outside of those 5 countries, it will basically be blocked. So we have a very strong control mechanism, which I will show you right now how it actually plays out. So here you're able to get a quick summary. Went too fast. So here we just created that access policy, but now we're seeing some access happening from another country. I think it's China, and these orange lines means that we've actually blocked the access. So. So you can click onto the line and you're able to actually see what is happening here. So that the policy we just created was the access allow policy for S/4HANA. That's a resource. It's deployed in the Canada Central, but somebody, John, seems to be a troublesome guy who is actually accessing this data from China. So that when he tried to access it from China, it was actually blocked. So he was not actually able to access it from China. And it's possible that he's a regular employee who's actually visiting China, then we will have a mechanism for you to be able to unblock it. But right now we want to make sure, that you don't want the access from coming from outside the 5 countries that we had decided. So here, that's an example of a policy. Another example here I will click on is, say you've created another policy where you don't want the blocking happen, but you just want some visibility and transparency. Anytime the access is happening from, say, South Africa, so you're able to actually go and look into that as well. My mouse is. So here you're able to see that we created a policy for possibly your blob which is actually sitting in Canada East. Maybe you want it to only be accessed from Canada. However, here you're seeing the access happening from South Africa. So, but maybe the employee is actually traveling. So you're also able to do verification and say that okay, we're fine with this, and submit. And that turns the line into, green line. That means the alert has been resolved. So, do you want to add something? It's not? You can. Are you able to hear me? Sorry. Okay. So those are a couple of access policies. Another thing that I wanted to show you here is around data placement. So let's assume that Canada has regulations. So Canada has regulations which require some of the tax data to stay within Canada, which means that your S/4HANA, which generally has a lot of financial services, financial data, will also have tax data. So you want your resources to be staying within Canada. But now one of your employees, by mistake, for example, tries to actually spin off a virtual machine outside of there. We're able to block this with this tool, and you can see that John again tried to actually spin off this virtual machine in Amsterdam, and we were able to, because of this mechanism, because of the policy that you had created, and because of our SaaS application, you were actually able to block it before you were able to put the data in another country, which would have then violated your Canadian regulations. I also want to show you the data leak prevention. So here, S/4HANA, for example, has a lot of HR as well as financial services data. So you may create a policy saying that anytime somebody is trying to download your HR data from S/4HANA, you want to be warned or you want to block it. So in this particular case, you can then get more details on what was happening and who was trying to actually download that data from the S/4HANA. It's very. I'm not able to.
Visualization issues here.
Yeah. Are you able to do it? Are you able to do it?
See if I can only use your mouse.
There you go. Okay. So here, so we have S/4HANA, you have your HR data, you've created a policy that anytime somebody is trying to download your HR data from S4H, you want to be warned around it. And here you can see that John was actually trying to download this PA002 file, which has a lot of personally identifiable information, which is very sensitive data. So once he's downloaded a lot of that information in his computer, we don't know how it's going to be accessed, what's going to be used. And generally, if you think about S4HANA application, they should just be looking at it and not downloading these files with a lot of sensitive data. So we know that that's a concern, and having that warning right away in near real time is very beneficial for customers. So here are some quick features for preview of Data Custodian. I don't know if there are any questions people have or any other things that I'm able to show. Are you able to?
So say you have a large number of connections happening. Is there like a list view that you can view and filter on the list instead of all the lines?
Yeah, so we have that mechanism where you will be able to filter down to the line really. You get an aggregated view and you have a whole navigation mechanism to get to the single line view.
Any other questions?
You want to quickly summarize the important things there?
Yeah. So I mean, I think essentially in summary, we're really looking to help customers who have, who are moving to Azure, who are maybe moving their, SAP applications or even non-SAP applications to public cloud, to Azure, to get like an end-to-end visibility as well as control. And this is just a quick preview, we're looking for, some pilot customers. So if you are looking to move to Azure and you haven't moved, all your instances, are interested in data protection, we're looking to, a couple of pilot customers as well. So if you are interested in the solution, please come talk to me. And we also want to hear what are your specific use cases. They may be a little different than what we've shown here. And we have a lot more, in our next sprints, we have a lot more coming from this product. So, this was just a quick preview of things we have here.